Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of our Friday the 13th discussion.
Wait. I thought we agreed what we were wearing.
Friday the 13th merch. Or Friday the 13th adjacent stuff. Adjacent stuff.
All right, well, one of us is going to have to change our The Jason's shirt, and it's not going to be me. So we're going to do the second half of our Friday the 13th review. We already did parts 1 through 5. So if you want to know our thoughts about those, go ahead and check that out in the previous video. One thing I wanted to touch on before we get into the actual movies of this one is something we didn't touch in the first one that I kind of wanted to, just glance over a little bit, is we're getting to that point where Friday the 13th was truly a franchise. The fact that you had a Nintendo game on NES, the Friday the 13th game. I'm sure it was merchandised at this point. You also had the TV show. Sorry, it's hard for me to say because when I think about it, Jason has nothing to do with the TV show.
No. At least Freddy's Nightmares has somewhat about.
Well, Freddy shows up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the Crypt Keeper for
Friday
that show.
Friday the 13th, the show is kind of like Erie, Indiana, or something like a weird kind of like.
Well, if I remember the show correctly, I think it was like a bunch of people own an antique shop, but all the stuff is haunted or has some kind of backstory to it.
It's like the Amityville movies.
Yeah, I remember watching a couple episodes at my ex-girlfriend's house back in the day because she had Chiller. I don't know if you guys remember Chiller, if that's even still a thing. But it was like a horror channel.
Oh my god.
And I remember watching a couple episodes and I'm like, so when does Jason show up? And she's like, oh, he's not in this.
Maybe we'll do a retrospective on the Amityville films.
Oh my god, we don't have enough time.
So part 6,
Right.
Jason lives, he's here, he's back. As the Alice Cooper song of this I think it's this movie. Yeah, it's because it has the RV. The RV has Teenage Frankenstein.
Right.
So there was a big Alice Cooper collab on this.
I like how I also like how Man Behind the Mask was just good enough to make it to the end credits, but not good enough to actually be in the actual movie.
Well, does it kind of break the fourth wall a little bit? Because it's about Jason.
If you read the lyrics,
It's
it
not.
is so vague.
It is.
I don't think it matters. Besides, at this point, Jason's established, so maybe Alice Cooper heard the legend of Jason Voorhees and wrote a little song about it.
So Jason is back this time. They had to put Jason Lives in there to promise. So R.I.P. Tommy Jarvis is the new Jason Voorhees, or the new killer, because it's not Jason, he's Tommy. But we get Tommy Jarvis. He's back in a better adult form.
Yes,
better
actor.
And he gets he's like, I'm gonna kill Jason. I'm gonna burn him. Even there's no consistent. No one knows consistently what happened to Jason Voorhees, which I think is funny. Because remember the sheriff in this is like, he got cremated. I think it was this movie. He got cremated.
Yeah.
But then they're chasing, comically, it's a funny scene where they're chasing Tommy Jarvis through the cemetery, and Jason Voorhees has a grave?
Yeah, well, I mean, he is dead, so I mean, serial killer or not, I mean,
no, I'm saying,
I think you still should have a...
But it was cremated.
You can still have a grave. My grandparents were cremated.
Does Pamela Voorhees have one?
I think in one of them, I think she might have, actually.
Anyway.
Which one? I can't remember if that's even true. I might be confusing it with something else, but I think she actually did have a grave.
So Tommy decides he's going to burn Jason's body, and he decides a rainy day is the perfect time to do it and light matches.
Yeah, why? Yeah, like, I can understand if you had, like, a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Because maybe the flamethrower could be more powerful than the thunderstorm. But, like, also, like, even still, why are you doing anything with fire during a thunderstorm? Why did it have to be this night? Couldn't you have, like, waited till the storm? Also,
did this take place on Friday the 13th?
That is another good question.
Why would you pick that day?
But it's just one of those things that just begs, like, could we have started this movie maybe 20 minutes earlier? Not, like, add 20 minutes to the movie. I mean, just, like, go to a period that was 20 minutes earlier. And he says why. Like, because I'm sorry. Like, I am the kind of person that does believe in a lot of, like, you don't have to over-explain. But sometimes there's things where it's like, can you give me something?
It's a Friday the 13th movie. You gotta let it be silly.
And this is the silly era.
So
Because you get from part 5 with damn enchiladas to now we're Jason Voorhees as Frankenstein's monster, basically. Because what happens is when he digs him up, he grabs this big like pole. He like rips a pole out of one of the gates and just starts stabbing Jason, a la part 4.
Yeah.
Yo, I think he says die as well,
Die,
but he
die,
definitely just starts
Tommy.
stabbing him. And like, am I the only one that thinks that the corpse he's stabbing just looks like a scarecrow? Like, I'm pretty sure it was just a scarecrow.
I'm sure it was all just kind of like bones at that point.
I'm talking the effect. I'm not talking about the in the actual movie.
But it doesn't matter because Jason gets a lightning bolt hits.
Yeah, he sticks it in there as he's trying to get the fire going. A lightning bolt hits the pole, which is like a lightning rod, and just shoots Jason all full of electricity. And lo and behold, he's back, the man behind the mask.
He gets superpowers.
He does.
Superhuman strength because he punches the guy through the chest and has his heart.
And you know there's more to it. You know there was more, not just that particular kill, but you know they wanted to do more with this superhuman strength.
He slams the woman's, I forget her name, but it's the
doesn't matter. It's Friday the 13th.
RV boy. It slams her head. Yeah, girl. It's her RV. He just has sex with her. The counselor has sex with her. So, head goes through, like, just indents the freaking wall of the RV.
Right.
You have one of my favorite kills is Sissy, who is the black counselor, camp counselor, gets her head completely 360'd.
Which
gnarly.
I know this is gonna sound kind of stupid to say, but I think regular human Jason could have done that one.
Also,
but it's still really cool. Don't get me wrong.
He turned that one girl just to a puddle of blood in the whole room.
And we'll never know what happened. We'll never know.
Just open the door and just pop. He also, another favorite kill is when he takes the sheriff and just bends him like a...
He just closes him like a book.
Yeah.
It's great. And that's one thing, because one of the things we originally wanted to do with these was we wanted to do our best kill.
Yeah.
But there were two problems, at least I had with that. Number one, everyone's favorite kill was going to end up being the same. Because when you look at these movies, there's always that one kill that stands above the rest. But also, with the way a lot of them were edited, thanks to the MPAA, you know, a lot of what could have beens, as far as the kills are concerned. Like, what if we could have seen it? Or what if we could see more? I know some people like to say, like, oh, sometimes it's better to leave it to your imagination. And sometimes that's okay. But with a movie franchise like this, I think it would have been nice to see more.
Speaking of seeing more, this movie also has more stakes.
Yes.
More stakes because Tommy Jarvis, you know, he's kind of like he's the Ralph of the town.
He's become the Ralph.
Basically, so
yet he's less of a goober.
So Sheriff Dad, basically is like, get out of my town. You're tainted. He's also tainting his daughter.
Yes.
Which we'll get into the daughter, but like so he has to be like, he has to fight Jason, but he has to overcome the roadblocks that the cops bring upon him.
The literal and figurative.
And then there's other stakes of this is the first movie where kids actually go to the camp.
Who would have thought it took 6 movies and a former rock star, well, I guess not former anymore, shout out to the Sloths, great band, check them out. Who would have thought that someone who theoretically shouldn't have thought about that or wouldn't have thought, you know what? What if the camp actually happened? Now,
you hold on. Remember the first 5 movies? Because you know the camp counselors always get there because it's the day where they got to prep.
Well, right.
Maybe they were prepping and they were finally ready for part 6.
Well, so all the movies were preparation. Yes. Maybe. But I do wonder, like, if this was an idea that people had beforehand and just never happened, or maybe, like, at a certain point, Sleepaway Camp happened, and maybe they didn't want to rip off Sleepaway Camp, because Sleepaway Camp was kind of like, if you look at it in its time frame, aside from the twist, you know, it is kind of like what happens if Friday the 13th happens during the actual camp.
Also, spoiler, in case people are wondering, no kid dies in this. So in case
Yes.
it's like a trigger warning for you, no kid dies in this. But there is that fear that one will, especially that little girl.
She was so scared.
Yeah, so it's like.
But I did like some of the little humor in there, like the kids under the bed when Jason's around. It's like, so what did you want to be when you grew up?
That little shit.
But then you have like groaners, like when you got the couple in the car, they're driving and they see Jason, and she's like, "I've seen enough horror movies to know if there's a man with a mask, you go back the other way." And I'm like, oh my god, like, look, I'm just gonna say this right now: if you are an aspiring horror director and you want to put that kind of stuff in there, you want to be self-aware, don't do that. Don't put that in your movie. It's not funny, and no one's actually laughing at you. If anything,
you're not Wes Craven.
And Wes Craven had more tact than to do it like that. But yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't directly reference other characters, other things from other movies.
Doesn't this one have like it's like it happened in Carpenter Street or something like that, or Carpenter County or something.
Something like that.
They did do like a John Carpenter reference in either this one or
one of them did that. Yeah, don't do that. I don't like that, and a lot of people don't either. Trust me, your film will be better off without it.
This has also a great little. Also, one of the funnest parts is the what do they call it was like the business retreat.
The paintball. I think it's paintball or like an airsoft.
It's like a business retreat.
Yeah, and they're wearing the little bandanas that say "dead." No, they've already been hit, so they have them, and that was I thought was going to be another groaner for me, but then
Jason
when you realize what's going on, it's like, oh, okay, so they're to the audience, they're telegraphing it, but in the world, it makes sense.
But also, Jason, here's another superpower he got. He got the power of, you know how Superman can leap
tall buildings in a single bound?
He can leap a tree
and
jump down.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments is in that scene where Jason just drops out of a tree. I don't know if it was meant to be comedic, but the shot looks like it was done for comedy. So if that was intentional comedy or unintentional comedy, it was still just fantastic. That was something I probably rewound and replayed at least 4 times because it just made me laugh.
Also, shout out before we move on to other stuff. Part 6. Shout out to Part 6 having an ending.
Yeah,
it had an ending that had some finality to it. Tommy Jarvis has the cool like ring of fire in the lake. His plan is I'm gonna drag him down.
Right.
Also, by the way, shout out to the forget the daughter, the sheriff's daughter.
It doesn't matter. It's Friday the 13th.
She was good in this one too. I liked her.
She was good.
She's gonna get in my car and basically I'm gonna break Tommy out and all that stuff. And Tommy's like, oh,
and the fact that she's always willing to like stand up to her father,
yeah.
Not in a bratty way, but she is able to stand up to her father and everything. Shows that she's not.
And we didn't get that scene.
Weak.
I will say we didn't get that scene where like before the sheriff dies, like he's like, because you see this movie, it's like the sheriff dies and the daughter's like, no.
Yeah.
They don't have that at all in this.
Well, I would hope she didn't see what happened to her dad. It's not every day you get to watch your dad get turned into a panini.
Oof. Anyway, so
but
cool ending.
But yeah, so he ties the thing around because I think the idea was if I can't kill him, if I can stop him, if I can trap him, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And so they basically hang him with the chain. The propeller of the boat starts cutting into him. You think he's dead. They ride off into the proverbial sunset. Nothing actual because it's still nighttime. And, they do that cut where you see Jason in the water. And you know what they're going to do. They get closer and closer till they zoom in on his eye. His eye wakes up, surprise. Jason lives again.
Before we move on to Part 7. Is this the one? I think this is the one that has the James Bond.
Yes.
That was. I both love it, and I think it's so bad.
I like it. I thought it fit. I think it fits with this movie.
Yeah.
Especially that far in the beginning. Plus, unless you're like, to me, it's like you don't think about it being James Bond when you're watching it. You think about it afterwards. So you're watching it. It's plus Jason has shown he does throw things.
So we were talking about part 7, the new beginning.
No, the new blood. We were just talking about part 5, the new beginning.
Yeah.
This is the new blood.
The new blood, aka we got telekinetic powers now.
AKA Jason versus Carrie. Let's go.
This is also the first one of Kane Hodder. The first actual. Also, I'm gonna say part 7 has my favorite looking Jason.
I agree. I feel the same way.
That spine on the back.
And you know what?
Good. Also, when she uses her powers to tighten up the mask and breaks, he's like, "Argh."
Great look for him as the zombie Jason.
Unmasked zombie Jason is the best version.
They were really proud of that spine because they.
Oh, it was so
I felt
good.
like they tried to get that in as many shots as they could, and you know what? They should be proud. They should be proud because it looked good. You know, Kane Hodder bringing his presence to the. This is the first time Jason actually felt
like a character,
not just a character, but he felt like what you think Jason would be.
Like Jason's like very like he just jumps into whatever. Like he has like Kane Hodder does that like, and you feel like a presence.
Yeah,
and that's more scary. Also, he's also a giant man,
right? Compared
to all these kids. There's more teens in this one. Right. This is also more silly. Like Jason just has instruments. He has a weed whacker. He has this. One of my favorite kills is the sleeping bag.
Oh, the sleeping bag. That's legendary. Yeah. That's one of the... They actually brought that... They sort of brought that back. Well, not sort of. They did in Jason X.
Yes.
I don't want to talk anymore about that movie.
We'll get to that.
Sadly.
But it deals with Tina, who has telekinetic powers, who killed her father accidentally.
Yes.
At the same Crystal Lake.
Which didn't,
how many
which had
cabins?
which you know, they had a house and everything, which I thought Crystal Lake was a camp. So like, wait.
But then there's part 4, but that might be near the lake.
Well, you know what?
This is on the lake.
Well, you know what? Considering that this lake somehow leads to New York, maybe Crystal Lake is so much bigger than we realize.
True.
Maybe it's like one of the lesser talked about Great Lakes.
We'll get to that though. We'll get to how the geography works. There's also she finds Nick, who's Superman looking ass. He looked like Christopher Reeves over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see where you're coming from.
Basically, Nick's brother Michael, who by the way they have car trouble. Of course they have car trouble.
Right.
Is coming over for a surprise birthday party. He never makes it.
Right.
Ever. So there's that, and then I think it's across the street. There's the Tina household that has Dr. Cruz.
Yes.
Who's a real...
he's a piece of shit.
He's a real piece of work, but he gets his comeuppance. I will say, this is the first one where I'm like, F yeah. To like you have Dr. Cruz. Right. He gets the weed whacker.
Although
it's kind of a letdown.
Yeah, again, that's more like what I said about the last movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they wanted to do more, but like the MPAA probably wouldn't let them. But yeah, it's satisfying because he's dead, but you kind of want him to get it a little more.
But no, the one that really does it is Melissa.
Oh yeah,
she's the one. She also called. I wrote this one note. She calls Tina Marilyn Munster, but Marilyn Munster was the normal one.
Yeah.
I never got that. It's like that joke fell flat.
Anyway. You know what? Maybe the director, or the writer, I should say, maybe the writer forgot which Munster was which.
Yeah.
So maybe he meant to say, for her to say Lily Munster, because that's the one he was thinking of, but he said the wrong one, because that was the first one he thought of.
So Melissa, at the end, like, is down to Melissa, Nick, and Tina. Like, Melissa gets, like, the axe. She opens the door, and there's Jason, and she gets the axe to the face and thrown across the room behind the TV.
Oh, it's great.
It's so freaking satisfying.
But you know what? She really deserved it.
And yeah, some other...
as bad as some of the characters could be morally, she was like the most heartless. She's probably the most heartless character in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I will go that far.
She was awful.
You find me someone more because at least, the Doctor, as bad as he was, at least he put up a facade of caring. She did not. She was like, oh, I'm a bitch and I want you to know about it.
Yeah. Then we have other characters. We have, like, I forget all the names. We had Eddie. He had the tinfoil hat. I think his name was Eddie. It was the conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
The film nut with the bomber jacket.
Yeah, I bet
we know those people.
I bet you were triggered.
Yeah. There's
Mr. Filmmaker.
There's also, I think her name was Maddie, the one with the glasses. The one that had to get really pretty.
I will say this, you are doing so much better at remembering these people
I love
than
how,
I am.
by the way, that character, I liked how she got all pretty and dolled up, and then she went outside.
Well, because for
She
some
was
reason,
looking for people. I
well,
guess
for
she didn't
some
want
reason,
downstairs.
for some reason, she thought the guy she was looking for was outside.
But we never have a scene of her looking for him in the house. She's
Yeah.
outside.
Or like a moment where like maybe he sees her and thinks she's cute, and then he can die, so then she feels bad, and then she dies, and then the audience feels bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they could. It was clearly obvious they had one character that they wanted you to care about, and that was it. That was the only one. Everyone else was just a body to be killed.
Yes,
and again, for this franchise, that's not. You know, that's not hyperbole, and it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But in a movie like this, I should say, not a franchise, the movie, I felt like a lot of these characters that didn't really matter had legs that could have been more.
Even the love interest Nick was kind of like, meh.
Yeah, because again, you really
this was the Tina show. I think there's more Tina than Jason in this whole film.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think. I mean, I can't say she's the best final girl because she has superpowers, but I think she's one of the stronger ones.
Because she has superpowers.
Yeah, but also, like, she goes head on Jason. A lot of them just run. Like, run away, and just so happens someone saves her, like Tommy Jarvis in 5, would just save Pamela and push him off and stuff like that. Or, you know, there's always someone that saves them a little bit, except for, like, Ginny. Tommy saves Trish.
Right.
Tommy, well, I guess 6, she's not really involved in this final fight. She's just saving the kids.
But
so in this one, Tina's going head on, and she's messing up Jason left and right.
I mean, if you think about it, Tommy in part 6, Tina in part 7, the boxer who gets his head punched off in part 8, and the boyfriend in Jason Goes to Hell are like the 4 people, the only 4 people that truly square up to Jason.
No, 10 in X. You have the colonel. Not the colonel. He was like kind of head of security guy.
Yeah, but didn't he have like guns and stuff?
No, he was in a spacesuit and they start fighting each other.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
We'll get into
okay,
that.
Fine. 5 people truthfully squared up to Jason.
Does Ginny count?
Who's Jenny?
Ginny? Because she has the outfit.
And she had the outfit, but she wasn't like, you know, like put up your dukes, like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna actually, like, you know, she tried to divert Jason's attention and use psychological stuff. She still fought him off, but I wouldn't call it squaring up. But Tina's like, you know, I'm gonna use my powers, this and that. Tommy's like, let's go, bitch. I'm gonna take you to the lake. I'm gonna drown your ass in the lake. Dude in part 8, he's like, you know, let's square up. The other dude in Jason Goes to Hell.
He did something.
He you know, he went after, because when and we'll get to it later, but like when he goes to possess the mother, like he doesn't even hesitate. He goes in there, starts fighting him up. I mean, it's not Jason, but it's enough.
Yeah.
And then, you know, part 10 happened.
But, you know, we had a good trend with 6. We're like, okay, we're gonna have good endings.
Yeah.
Not this one.
You know what?
This one was a strange one.
And you know what stings about this? There's 2 things.
It's kind of
Number one,
cool.
It's stupid. It's stupid. But here's the thing. It's not entirely stupid because of what they do. It's how they do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've heard that there was supposed to be... So, for those who don't know, the way it ends is as Jason is... Trish is dealing with... Trish. That's the other movie. As Tina is dealing with Jason on the pier, all of a sudden, I don't know if she uses her powers or if it just happens, but her dead father... busts through the pier.
This is what I was referencing when I was thinking when you met Pam.
Yeah, no.
This is what I thought.
Yeah, no. Trust me, I remember this one. And
by the way, he's been dead for like 10 years.
At least 10 years. Looks great. Looks great, by the way.
Yeah,
he's been working out.
No rotting,
He's not
waterlogged.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm pretty sure he was supposed to be a corpse. But I'm guessing either they tried it and it didn't look right.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just couldn't, it wasn't in the budget. But here's a great idea. Maybe don't do that. Well, here's an idea. How about you have her distract Jason and then use her psychic powers to put the chain around his neck.
Yeah, you could do that.
And then maybe, I don't know. Just don't do Dead Dad.
There's a little thing also we talk about Jason's look before we move on to part 8. I love how the hockey mask is broken, so you see his teeth.
Yeah.
Like he has no lips anymore, it's just teeth.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool.
And especially it's even cooler once you see the transition from him wearing the mask to when it rips off.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god, it looks so good. It was so well done. I gotta be honest with you. I think we said it already, but I'm gonna say it again. I think this is the best. I think I might have said it was the best zombie Jason look. I think this might be the best Jason look, period.
I agree. 100%.
But yeah, so Dad comes back just to drag Jason back down to the lake. Rechain him, and then
it was a choice.
Yeah, but that's it for part 7. Aside from a wonky ending, pretty decent.
Yeah.
But
then we get to part 8. Jason takes Manhattan, which, by the way, starts probably the most weird start of a Jason movie I've ever seen. Of just it's just like, oh, here's the cityscape. Oh, here's some nice little jazzy music.
Yeah, because they really want you to believe Jason in Manhattan is going to be a big deal in this movie.
But the intro just kind of comes off, aside from the people doing drugs. The music makes you think you're about to watch this in Seattle.
Or something.
Yeah.
Something, not a Friday the 13th movie.
Also, there is something I noticed in this.
Oh no, another
There's a couple
error?
things I noticed, some weird decisions. This is an error, though. When they're in the
diner... the entirety of the film?
When they're in the diner, okay? The opening montage, they're in the diner. There's this Asian man that's sitting at the table.
Okay.
And he's just doing this, just talking, and then you see...
Oh, does he look at the camera?
He looks right at the camera. And then we cut.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
It was more like he was doing this, and it quickly moves his eyes this way, but he definitely looks at the camera. It was great. There's another error.
Oh, no.
It's a weird... It's more of a continuity weirdness to it. So
continuity with the franchise or with the film itself?
So Jason, we'll get into the biggest continuity weirdness with the voyage. But so Jason kills one of the students on their yacht, and that's that's kind of the crux of everything. And he gets risen. Lightning, of course, hits. No, it wasn't lightning. It was like this power source cable.
Yeah, no, I think they had... Wasn't it because of their boat? Like, they had some kind of power source thing?
It reanimated him.
There was like a cable, whatever, and it reanimated.
So he kills them, but he finds a new hockey mask.
That the boyfriend on the yacht used to scare his girlfriend.
Why does that mask have the axe cut in it?
Okay, continuity-wise, that makes no sense. I think either it was a reused mask from one of the other movies, and they just didn't want to get a new one, or somebody remembered that piece of continuity that always seems to carry on.
And I'm fine with that.
But forgot that it's technically a different mask.
So the biggest weirdness that let's talk about before we get into the characters and all that. Let's talk about geography real quick.
I like how the geography of this is the thing that you're the most concerned and weirded out about.
No, we'll get into some stuff. But as we're talking about weird continuity things, so they're in a lake. Which, by the way, a lake, there is generally
it's an enclosed body of water.
Yeah.
There is no beginning, no end. It is one thing of water. Nothing goes in, nothing comes out. As far as it going off into a river or a stream or an ocean, it is just that.
So they go on a boat to go on a trip to New York. So as they're going, my fiance pointed this out. Why is there Alaskan mountains in the background? And I think to myself, I don't know. And then at some point, she could not focus on the rest of the movie. This was bothering her the most. Not the terribleness, the characters of it. But and then they eventually end up in this rainstorm Bermuda Triangle situation, and then they end up in a foggy afterworld. Remember, they're on the lifeboat.
Yeah.
And they finally get to New York, but they're in New Jersey. I believe Crystal Lake is in New Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they could have just took a 2 to 3 hour drive to New York.
But then how does Jason get there?
A bus? I don't know.
Oh my god, could you imagine them doing Jason on a bus? I would love that.
Even if somehow they were not on a lake and they somehow got to appear on the outside of New Jersey on the end. But I think Crystal Lake is like in the middle of New Jersey. So like anyway, unless it's near like the shore area. It's near the Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Well,
the Jersey Shore.
Because I think
situations there, you know.
As long as they stay away from Secaucus.
Secaucus. Why do you want Secaucus?
But I think there was also a case of, okay, how do we get him to Manhattan? Well, we can't have him. He can't drive because he's lived in the woods all his life. He wouldn't know how to drive a car, and on top of that, if he drives a car, he's not much different than Michael Myers because Michael Myers actually does know how to drive a car for some reason.
He could get on a boat, on a bus.
Again, how do you do Jason on a bus?
Like you latch on
because someone else has to drive the bus.
You latch onto it like how like at the end of Big Trouble in Little China they had the Fluffy, whatever that creature was called. Like he was like hanging on like the tractor trailer. He gets out of a tractor trailer.
Okay, okay. Here's my idea. Here's what I'm thinking. This is how you get Jason to Manhattan.
Okay.
You have a delivery guy. He's taking like some kind of like frozen shit
or furniture.
Whatever. No,
truck.
Well, I would say frozen stuff because this way, like it's just for instance, you could argue like, oh, maybe it like, it might have froze him a little bit or something. Whatever. But anyway, this guy's going to deliver stuff. Jason accidentally walks in thinking it's a room, and he gets stuck in there, and he can't get out. Once they open the door, he kills the delivery guys, gets out of the truck, and he's in Manhattan.
Yeah, or they could just...
Remember, it doesn't matter who any of the other people are. This movie is called Jason Takes Manhattan. You need to figure out how to get his undead ass to Manhattan. That's all you need.
But sadly, he doesn't go.
No, but
he goes to some weird dock that have graffiti all over the walls,
and has his picture on a billboard, which is one. It's so good. I made that my profile banner on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that image. It's
so stupid.
It had to be. That had to be played for laughs. If it's not, I want to personally slap the person who came up with that idea in the face and say, how could it not be comedy? What I don't understand is, okay, so we already came up with our own version of how Jason gets to Manhattan. Because again, humans don't matter. All that matters is how do you get Jason to Manhattan. My biggest issue is, okay, so you have girl played by woman.
Oh, what was it? I was like Rennie or Reddy or something?
Rennie.
I think it was Rennie.
Sure. We'll go with that. So Rennie, she is like traumatized by this moment as a kid where
I forgot. She felt this.
She says she saw a kid drown, and I don't think she knows it's Jason yet. So whenever she has these flashbacks, it's like a regular kid drowning,
and it gets more and more deformed.
And
the effect is worse and worse as you go.
Well, I think it's more once she encounters Jason in the present, then it starts getting more and more deformed.
Yeah. And
it starts looking more like Jason. Until it's revealed that later on, like the guy who was like her stepdad.
It was like her
dad,
legal guardian.
Legal guardian of some kind.
Who's also the biology teacher.
Yeah, let's just add more things on there.
Also, I love how like they're doing this whole thing. There's only like 2 teachers supervising this whole thing.
And one of them just happens to be her legal guardian.
Yeah, and also there's also the ship captain whose son
is also a captain.
Which, by the way, okay, here's what's confusing about me. Sorry to sidetrack. I was never it was just weird that like you had captain's son.
Right.
And then you had Final Girl.
Right.
And they were a couple.
Right.
But it never was like really like, you didn't really believe they were a couple?
No, I forgot they were a couple several times.
Speaking of forgetting, sorry, go to your point.
But, so she keeps having this visions, and then it turns out that the guy who's her legal guardian and her biology teacher, who's also the chaperone, apparently to teach her how to swim, threw her into Crystal Lake, and that's where she saw Jason. So she didn't actually watch. From what I'm gathering, she didn't actually watch Jason drown. Jason was just in the water, which doesn't make sense because he's okay. Here's why it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense on a couple fronts. Number one, okay, Jason was still human at this point, so he would be dead. He would have drowned, and if he actually drowned in the lake, none of the other stuff would have happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that. Then you factor in, given her age and Jason's age, combined with this weird timeline, which if there's a...
the age difference is weird.
Yeah, there's no way, if the movies were chronological to real lifetime, like our lifetime, or the timeline of the movie, there's no way it would line up because Jason dies or seemingly drowns in the lake in 1958?
Because they do say he's born in 1946 or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's no way.
There's no way. If he was now, if she would have seen adult Jason, maybe you could argue this happened during after part 6 or 7. Okay. But then if it was after part 7, that's the next movie. But if you argue okay, maybe it happened at some point, after part 6 where Jason's in the water. Okay. But no. But then what really makes all of this worse is at the end. So the way they killed Jason is apparently
toxic waste.
Toxic waste gets dumped in after midnight. Every night in New York.
In New York.
And so they use that toxic waste dump to have the toxic waste kill Jason. Which, number one, the fact that the weird noises that he makes when he dies is just horrible.
Because she throws the toxic waste in his face.
Right, but the weird noises
he takes off the mask. He's
and he looks like the Toxic Avenger's stunt double. And that weird noise. And then here's the thing. It would have been enough if you cut. So she's climbing up. She looks back. It would be one thing if you cut back and Jason's body's completely gone. If he was turned into a complete skeleton or whatever. But no, he turns into not just a little boy who is not deformed.
And also, here's a question. So he turns back to a little boy, but there's still toxic waste everywhere. Wouldn't that little boy just erode into a skeleton eventually?
But how does that work? So if you have remember, guys, what this movie taught us is if you have some kind of abnormality or deformity, just soak it in toxic waste, and you're cured. The cure for everything is toxic waste. It created the Toxic Avenger.
There's another. Okay, so. Here's a weird thing. There's a lot. We haven't gone into the freaking characters.
There's characters?
There's bodies.
There we go.
The dog. Remember? Okay, so Rennie. Her name's Rennie, I think. I'll just call her Rennie. Right. She brings the dog on. Right. Gordo. Or the freaking Gordon.
Gordon's the dog from part 4.
This one was...
Don't disrespect
Toby. It was Toby.
Toby, yeah. Don't disrespect Gordon.
So Toby, she brings the dog over, and then Toby disappears. Then she goes to go find the dog. By the way, there was that one girl that tried seducing the biology teacher. She was also Melissa level of bitch.
But no. Okay. She was bronze medal at best.
Okay, so she is looking for the dog, and then the Jason kills everyone, and then
the Jason
kills everyone, and all of a sudden,
from now on, we're just gonna call him the Jason.
We forget about the dog.
Yeah.
And then when they get on the lifeboat to escape, by the way, they left a bunch of kids in that boat. They just left them there. Yeah. Whatever.
But at least they didn't have to worry about the Jason.
The dog is in the lifeboat. So I guess she found the dog. And then they get to New York.
Well, you could have even done something like the dog was in the lifeboat the whole time.
And then they get to New York and they're attacked by the drug dealers who were in the beginning full circle.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get into that. That's a
because that I know that was not that one upset you. That kind of upset you.
That wasn't upset. It was more like why. So they shoot at the dog, accidentally shoot at the dog, and the dog runs away. And the dog shows up at the end as like a fake out, like, oh, it's Jason, but he's like down here. So how is it Jason? I don't know. So why even have the dog?
Because we had dogs in other installments.
And like
that's
one.
the only reason
we only had a dog in one.
No, we had a dog in 2. Part 4, we had Gordon, and then I think in part 3 we had the little Shih Tzu.
Yes, you're right.
So we had at least two dogs. At least 2 dogs.
So the dog, why?
Well, the dog doesn't die.
No.
So it's got that going for it.
I'll get really quick into this whole.
Yeah, get into the drug deal because I know you're gonna blow a gasket.
Okay, so the drug deal, I don't understand. The drug deal thing is
full circle.
They take her, Rennie, and I get they just want people to kill. I get it. But, like, they shoot her up with heroin, and they try to sexually assault her. And,
which, by the way, she shakes off a heroin addiction very quickly.
Well, hold on. But remember she started driving that cop car, and then she saw the mutoid boy, and then she crashed it and killed the one woman?
You know what? I know you want to say...
Don't do drugs unless... But don't do drugs, because if you do, and you get behind a wheel, you're going to see a mutant boy... and you're gonna ram it into a wall.
But she was having hallucinations before drugs.
Oh yeah.
So that didn't mean shit. If the only reason they did have her do heroin was so that she could have that, like, guys, watch the movie that you wrote and shot.
Also, I love that Jason, when they're chasing through Manhattan, he just says, I don't care about doors. Bust through all the doors.
Well, he always busts through doors and windows and stuff.
But it's extra doors.
Can I just give one positive moment from the movie that, like, it's lame, but I like it. So there's the famous scene where he's actually walking through Times Square.
The punks.
And he kicks the boombox, and the guys are like, hey, man, what are you doing? You don't do that to us. And they're acting all tough. And he turns around, and he takes off his mask, and so they see his face. And they're like, no, man, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. I liked that.
It's a great scene.
It made me think of part 3 when he lifts the mask up. He's all like being a little dickhead. I am glad that some of Jason's dickhead spirit did not go away with Kane Hodder.
Yeah. But no. Okay. So the characters. Let's just breeze through the characters.
So are we still on part 8?
Yeah. So the characters.
Okay.
We have another nonsensical idea of we have the punk girl who's playing guitar in the furnace room.
That, to be fair,
she plugged in,
I don't know, but the acoustics were amazing.
Yes, we have Wayne, the videographer, who is with her.
I was so disappointed because I thought his name was Wade, and I was like, "Oh no, Wade's gonna be so pissed."
We'll get to that.
But then she says his name's
Wayne. He's videoing her, and then she's one of the first people getting killed.
Right. And it takes a while for them to notice. That's one thing about this franchise.
He never looks for her.
A lot of people in this thing. Caitlin pointed this out. My wife pointed this out. There's a lot of situations in this where people don't even realize their friends are being killed or there's a murderer. And I'm glad that's a trend that kept going.
So, he doesn't talk about the punk girl ever. And then he has the camera to blackmail the professor. And then he finds her in the furnace room eventually. Right. It takes freaking all the movie to do. But I do appreciate when he gets killed, he gets electrocuted and his crotch just lights on fire. His crotch. Nothing else. One of my favorite kills in the entire movie. And it's just funny. Is when he's chasing the Asian girl.
Is it the disco ball?
The disco ball. He chases the Asian girl into that disco
room.
That
tiny little disco room.
So he chokes her. My favorite part is they didn't have to do this. But they cut to like a medium shot, and he just throws her, and she thuds on the dance floor.
It's
no
good.
No music, just boom.
It's good, but I think they missed the obvious kill. Grab her,
I know.
Shove her into the disco ball. It shatters, and she. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I just meant it shatters and she falls to the ground. But I like your idea better.
Just spins. But of course, the best. There's also the jocks. One of them gets like hot coals in his chest.
Yeah.
In the sauna room. And then probably the most also the professor gets drowned in the barrel with the rat,
right?
Which is fun.
The rat was a nice touch.
There's the most iconic one is the boxer,
which, as I mentioned, one of the few people to square up with Jason, like man to man, like fisticuff style.
And I feel bad for him because there's a point where like he's like boxing him, and they drag it out.
Yeah, like Jason's taking it. It was kind of like They Live.
Yeah, there was music. There's no music, and we're all like, dude, just run, just run. And then he's like, come on, take your best shot. And then Jason, nonchalant, punches him. The head flies, and I think it hits like a bunch of stairs.
I think it rolls off the roof. Yeah, roof falls over and lands on a dumpster. And then the door closes. Perfect. That was I like to think of it as the horror comedy equivalent of the part 2 death with the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah. I don't have. Do you have anything else about part 8?
No,
I have nothing.
I didn't like it, and I was very
silly.
It was too silly.
Well,
I should
also say, not really in Manhattan a lot.
Oh,
it's just on a boat, which is scary.
Yeah.
Now, could you imagine Jason on a plane? He ends up in the cargo. Somehow ends up in the cargo, and then he busts through.
Yeah, Jason,
and then he can fly the plane.
Oh, so then it turns into a turbulence movie.
Maybe he kills the pilot, and then they're falling, and they have to stop Jason, but also have to fly the plane.
Oh my god! And that's how he gets to Manhattan.
There we go.
He's stuck on the plane.
They took a flight from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Over the airport.
It was a business flight.
No, we can't do one of those river planes that you fly off the...
A pontoon.
Pontoon. We can't do that.
Pontoon.
We can't do that. So we have to get... Jason somehow has to get to an airport
to
fly to New York.
Like I said, what happens is he's going to fly to New York. Like I said, it's like a business flight.
And Manhattan doesn't have an airport, I don't believe. So they have his...
Well, no, he doesn't land on the airport. No, we're going to go with your plane crash idea.
He lands on the airport.
We're going to go with your plane crash idea. He kills everyone, including the pilot. Jason's dumbass doesn't know how to fly the plane, so the plane crashes near Manhattan.
Okay.
And he walks to Manhattan.
Okay. Then we have to establish characters at that point. Well, they didn't do it.
Establish him then.
Yeah, okay.
Establish him once he gets to Manhattan.
Okay.
You know, have Jason interact with, you know, the drug dealers and the swindlers of New York, you know, and roll with it. Have Jason go to a strip club.
I love this. Book it.
Do it. Someone make this. If not as an actual Friday the 13th, give us like a spiritual successor.
Now, we talk all this crap about part 8, but I mean,
it's better than the next one.
Better than the next 2.
That's our thoughts on part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I think we rambled a little too much, so for your guys' sake, we're gonna cut it off here. We're actually gonna give you a part 3, so you're gonna get an unintended part 3. Because man, it's weird. It's like when the worse they are, the more there is to talk about. I guess.
Yeah. So don't worry, we're gonna talk a lot about the absolute dog crap version.
Yes.
Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and the remake, and then our final rankings.
Yes. So tune in for part 3, the New Line Cinema Trilogy.